What's up, guys? Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, thank you if you're new. If you find value in these videos, let me know. Information is in the description to support me. You could also shoot me a message on the group me if you have any feedback, any concerns, any questions, anything like that. More than happy to discuss more in depth. We're looking at Sunday, April 13th. This will also repeat on Saturday the 26th, which is when a majority of people are doing the dry try. So just be aware of that. Anyways, we are going to see an ESP day across the board. We'll talk about the 2G, talk about the 3G, and then get you on out of here. So as far as key concepts today, for the treads, we're going to see 3 blocks. Block 1, we're going to accumulate distance on incline, strength. Block 2, we go all out, power. Block 3, aim to match or beat your block 1 distance, but at flat road, endurance. Okay. For the rower, we have 1 rower power block timed with the treads. Can you match your all out each time? On the floor, today we have 2 blocks. First one is a total body circuit, endurance, and then rep and recover, also endurance. Well, also strength for the first one, endurance on the second one, where each round gets more challenging as your reps increase. No special equipment needed out for today, just dumbbells and straps. Personally, I would have benches out. They're always great to have as options for movements on the weight floor. Anyways, looking at the tread side, so we're gonna have an SPE day, which is good since that way people are gonna be fatigued when they eventually get to the endurance work, making it that much more challenging. Starting off with strength block. You have 8-minute tread for distance. There's a 90-second recovery. Block 2 is for power, just over 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 seconds, another 90-second recovery. And then the final block is the endurance block for 7 minutes. When we look at block 1, they're gonna choose their own speed and accumulate as much distance. However, they start on a hill, and then every minute, you're gonna cue them to drop their incline by 1%. Power walkers, joggers, runners, they're gonna start at an aggressive 8% incline. If you have anyone on the bike or strider, we want them to start about 4 gears over base. Bikes and striders, they're gonna drop 1 gear every 2 minutes, okay? So by that last minute, they are just above their base, hopefully maybe increase in RPMs as they lose the gear to maintain intensity. Now, power walkers, 8% incline, I mean, that's generally what they use for like a 30-second push, but as they go through this, they are dropping the incline, so at the very least, they should be able to maintain that walk speed, maybe even potentially increase it. Joggers and runners, my recommendation is for them to start below or just at their base. Because starting out base at 8%, that's gonna be pretty aggressive right from the get-go. So starting below is totally fine. And as they lose incline, every 1% they drop is an opportunity to add like 0.1 or 0.2 to their speed. So today's a good day to really get accustomed to using those arrow keys to make those quick adjustments for the speed rather than trying to hit 2 numbers back to back while they're fatigued, obviously. By the end of the block, if they are increasing their speeds, by the end they might be at like a regular push, but because of the accumulated fatigue, they may be approaching that threshold of uncomfortable to very uncomfortable. So if that final 30 seconds, final 60 seconds feels like an all out, sweet. That's kind of what we're looking for. A main thing, of course, is make sure they clear out the screen at the start, at the 8-minute mark, check their distance, bookmark it back of their brain because they will need it in block 3. Now in block 2, it is 1-to-1 work and recovery. It is a 45-second all out, 45-second walk recovery. And we want to maintain the all out intensities here. 45 seconds is one of those weird all out times where, you know, not as aggressive as a 30-second, but definitely more aggressive than a minute. And for that 45-second walk, most people, they should see heart rate start to trend down before they take off again, okay? Nothing too crazy with that one. Main thing is, of course, just as always, like coach to the benefit of these walk recoveries and how it allows them to recover. So that way they get a better recruitment for like those quick, fast twitch muscles when it comes time for the sprints. For power walkers, try to have them start taking up their incline when they're about 5 to 10 seconds out from having to start. So a good way to kind of do this is like if you reset your stopwatch at the 35-second mark, be like, power walkers, take your incline up now. Take a couple breaths. Joggers, runners, let's add that speed in 3, 2, 1, all out. That way, by the time the treadmill is at around like 7 or 8% incline, they're gonna be starting their 45-second all out. So they at least get a majority of the time at the all out incline for the power walkers, since it's not instantaneous. Block 3, endurance block, 7-minute tread for distance. The final minute is a 1-minute all out though. Whenever it comes to stuff like this, I generally tell the members, hey, it's a 7-minute tread for distance. I don't tell them 6-minute tread for distance, 1 minute all out, because if they do it right, they should get to that feeling the effort of that very uncomfortable by the end. So they don't really need to necessarily increase the speed that much substantially more. It might be just 0.1 over what they're doing, and that's gonna take them into that realm of this feels like an all out, even though it might not be their top speed, and that's fine. Power walkers, 1% or greater. Of course, they choose the walk speed, they choose their incline. Joggers, runners, same thing. Bikes and striders, I would try to have them hold like a conservative push gear maintained throughout. And if anything, a higher RPM to make sure they cover the distance. Keep in mind that they have a minute less to match or beat block 1. Okay, if this is one where you can't really do math to figure out what speeds they need to do, more of anything, kind of check in halfway through, see where they are. And if they are at least halfway to their distance, great, they're on track. If they're under halfway, then they need to bump it up if they want to try to match. If they're over halfway of their distance, cool, they have a buffer. So if they feel like they're starting to gas out, they could pull back that speed, 0.1, 0.2, catch their breath, and then get back to work, okay? Weight floor side. We're gonna see strength, power, endurance. Strength and endurance are actually the weight floor. Power is gonna be on the rower. For the strength block, 6 to 10 reps. It is a full body circuit. We're gonna see hammer curl to shoulder press. So a nice little pull push combo paired up with the single dumbbell combo of the sumo deadlift to the sumo squat. So deadlift squat makes 1 rep, 6 to 10 of those. And then the high plank switch alternating low row. So for that one, remember, it's just 1 dumbbell. I like to have it lined up with their sternum, hands are on either side, grab, row, reset, then the other side. Dropping down to the knee is great. If they have any wrist issues, they could just do a regular single arm low row from a hinge position. That one is 6 to 10 total reps. So if they do that hinge, maybe try to get them to go heavy for 3 to 5 per arm. For the rower, it is timed up with the treads. I personally would have them do a 45-second stored program. You could use distance as a metric or row based off of wattage and the average watts to maintain. So distance, obviously match their distance every round. Average watts, try to stay consistent. So once they do that first row, and then they get that stored program reset, they'll see their average watts. The next row, they want to try to keep their instant watts at that or higher, because then they'll match or beat the intensity. On the row itself, with this being 45 seconds, I would try to have people keep their stroke rate more towards like an endurance style, so like 26 to 28, because they'll still get, about 20 strokes or so in those 45 seconds, which is a very high volume of strokes in the time frame. Leg drive, obviously if they're trying to maintain, going 10 out of 10 on that first one, followed by a 45-second rest, just not nearly enough to truly recover enough to match that intensity. So more of a like 8 out of 10 range would be a good place to be. If anything, emphasize keeping the heels planted, really squeezing the leg muscles to drive back quickly, pushing those hips back as well, core is braced as everything slides back, and big exhale to help generate that power. When it comes to the final floor block, this is gonna be a rep and recover. There's gonna be 2 movements we're gonna alternate between. Each movement has a minute to work. The round 1, you'll do 10 reps for both movements. Minute 1, you will do bridge rows. When you are done, you rest. At minute 2, they will do the hand release push-up. For round 2, now it is 12 reps. The first minute will be bridge rows again for 12, and then the second minute will be hand release push-ups, and then the third and final minute is 14 reps. When they finish all 3 rounds timed up, then the finisher for the last minute is a low plank. The great thing about the bridge row is if they start to fatigue, you can have them straighten out their legs, which will naturally move them away from the wall to make that movement easier. For the hand release push-up, I encourage people to stay off their knees as they lower down. The cue I like to have people pay attention to is have their thighs be the last thing to touch the floor. That way they don't, drop the hips, then drop the chest. They try to maintain that plank as everything lowers down. If they have to go to their knees, try to use their knees on the way up rather than on the way down, because you're gonna help build that strength on that eccentric phase, and you're also using more of your body weight on that eccentric phase. So try to stay off the knees as they lower down, but then for the assistance, drop the knees and then pull up and then come back up off the knees. Fun fact, that's also the recommendation of an option for the strength dry try for the hand release push-ups. That's how the Grove kind of wants you to have people do hand release push-ups as options to get the most out of it. Hand release push-ups are great because it does force that full range of motion since you have to go all the way down to the floor. It also helps people get a better understanding of positioning, make sure the elbows track back rather than out. So that way when they do press, they feel the chest activate by keeping those elbows slightly tucked and those shoulders packed down. And that's 2G. Looking at the 3G here, tread's gonna have 3 long blocks, rower's gonna have 1 block, weight floor 2 blocks. On the tread side, it's gonna be set up the same way. 5-minute tread for distance. They'll start at 8% incline, and they're gonna drop their incline by 1% every minute. Check remember distance at the end. Block 2 is that power block, but now 30-second efforts, 30, 30, 30, 30 with the walk recoveries. There's 3 all outs. Block 3, it is 4.5-minute tread for distance, flat road. 4-minute tread for distance, 30-second all out. However you wanna kind of present that to your members. On the rower, they're gonna start with a bodyweight movement, the alternating forward lunge. If stepping forward is painful on the knees, that's a good indication that those people probably have tight quads and they should stretch more. So as an alternative, have them do reverse lunges for the time being. And then after class, maybe talk to them of the importance of the flexibility block and why they should stick around and stretch to take that pressure off the patella tendon, and that's what's generally causing that aggravation when they do forward lunges. They're gonna do an 800-meter row. Every round, they're gonna decrease the row by 200 meters. The goal here is to increase average watts each round. So just like on the 2G side, once they finish their first row, they go back to their stored programs. It'll display what their average watts was. As they do their 600-meter row, they just want to try to keep their instant watts at or above what the average was, and then they will naturally increase their average. 800 meters for most people will probably take around 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. So getting through all 4 rounds, very doable, since the last, you have 400 and then 200 meters. If they finish all 4 rounds, they obviously do the movement, then they'll do the 200 meters. When they're done, they could catch their breath, hit new interval, and then start rowing until they eventually hit a 30-second all out with the treads. Weight floor, you're gonna have strength and endurance. So strength is just like the 2G. So 3 movements, curl to press, deadlift, sumo squat, and then the switch low row, 6 to 10 reps for all 3 movements, just like before. They have just under 9 minutes here. So they will have that opportunity to increase weight on the 2nd and 3rd round. So if they start with like a moderate weight choice, 8 to 10 reps, if they want to go slower to add a challenge to it, go slower. If they could go up in weight, go up in weight. They've mentioned before about it when it comes to rep ranges. Members could use the rep that feels right for them that day, or it could be more based off of their own personal goals. So if they are looking to build strength, then go heavier. try to hit that lower rep range. If they're more towards like hypertrophic training, a little bit higher with that moderate weight, great, okay? Block 2, endurance block. This is members' pace. The goal is to get through 2 rounds or more, and they're just doing 8 reps of the hand release push-up and the bridge row, and they're just gonna keep repeating that. So they'll have 4.5 minutes for that one. Honestly, getting through 2 rounds, very doable for a lot of people. So encourage them to have quality movement rather than rush through. In fact, if they could only get through 2 rounds because they took their time, I would consider that a win versus really bad form and they got through 4 rounds. So that's all I got for you guys on this one. Once again, you're gonna see this on Sunday, April 13th, and then Saturday, April 26th. Any feedback, shoot me a message. Otherwise, coach it down.